Russian forces launched more than 400 drone and missile attacks overnight, targeting infrastructure across Ukraine, damaging residential buildings and injuring at least 25 people. Explosions rocked central Kyiv as Russia rejected the prospect of a near-term high-level meeting involving President Vladimir Putin, US President Donald Trump and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, who said such a meeting was essential to unblock progress. US and Ukrainian officials met in Geneva to discuss post-war reconstruction. Our Europe editor Tony Connelly and cameraman Bram Verbecka have travelled to Ukraine and report now from Kharkiv, which was among the cities hit last night.
Volodymyr Zelensky meeting his Ghanaian counterpart in Kyiv. The Ukrainian president has said a trilateral summit involving him, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin could take place next month in order to tackle those issues blocking progress. He said a meeting of officials in early March could pave the way for such a gathering. President Trump has also suggested a deal could be done soon. In Moscow, the Russian foreign minister poured cold water on such an idea.
Have you heard anything from us about deadlines? We don't have deadlines. We have tasks. We are getting them done.
It's not clear if those tasks include bombing Ukraine into submission, but that still seems to be Russia's strategy. 420 drones and 39 ballistic missiles hitting energy infrastructure and residential blocks across the country last night. This was a Shahed drone attack on an apartment block in the centre of Kharkiv. Despite President Zelensky's hope that there could be a trilateral leaders summit sometime next month, the nightly Russian onslaught continues. Some residents had spent 4 years seeking refuge in Kyiv and had just returned here, thinking the capital had become too dangerous. Margarita's apartment was hit 4 years ago. She's just returned from the capital, fearing airstrikes there, only to suffer another attack from the air. She's from the generation of Russian speakers in the city who've now resolutely turned against Moscow.
Before the war, I wanted to work abroad while I still had my health and strength. But when the war started, something changed in me. I became a nationalist. I love my country, and if I die, I want to die here. I won't leave. I will be with my president and my people.
As they mark the 4th anniversary of the full-scale invasion, the residents of Kharkiv are being pushed to the limit. Russian drones are also getting closer, forcing the authorities to accelerate plans to erect anti-drone corridors to protect civilians and logistics. These men have laid 18 kilometres of netting not far from the Russian border since early January. This war is increasingly all about ingenuity and adaptation.
And Tony joins me now from the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv. Tony, what are the prospects for that trilateral leader summit?
Well, Sharon, there have been 3 trilateral meetings involving officials from the United States, Ukraine and Russia in Geneva over the past weeks, but they haven't really got anywhere beyond the question of prisoner exchanges and so on. The big sensitive issues such as the question of the 20% of the Donbass that Russia has been unable to capture militarily, whether that would be handed over by Ukraine as part of some deal, whether there could be binding security guarantees for Ukraine in that situation. Now, there was a meeting today involving Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, President Trump's son-in-law, Steve Witkoff, his special envoy in Geneva. But there was obviously a sense among the Russians that there was no real need for them to join that meeting. However, it has been reported in the past 30 minutes that Kirill Dmitriev, who is President Putin's senior envoy, has just arrived in Geneva and joined the Americans there. So what that signifies, we'll have to wait and see. But the suspicion among the Ukrainians is that President Putin is still playing for time, is still not really serious about a ceasefire or a long-term settlement.
Thank you.